a West Australian architect came to me and his name was Brian Clopper, and he said to me, you know, I've observed what you've been doing for years, and you are doing something that is very close to an Aboriginal statement of Western Australia, which is, he said, it's touch the earth lightly. Now, the most important aspect of that, touching the earth lightly, is it's not about a building with just 4 columns onto the ground. Touching the earth lightly is about how much energy is used. As I explained here today, timber is 5 megajoules per kilogram, steel is 43 megajoules per kilogram, and aluminium is 143 megajoules per kilogram. Now, if you use aluminium, you must use very little of it. Use it very efficiently. If you're using steel, use it efficiently. If you're using timber, use it efficiently, but so long as timber is being harvested at a rate that is less than its growth rate, then you've got renewable resource as well as the very low processing for it, which is just wonderful. And that is about touching the earth lightly. Touching earth lightly is about a process, the way you put a building together, that you can unbolt it. Or you put a floor down, and instead of secret nailing, or having nails at the top, you don't use nails at all, but you actually use screws with a plug, so you can pull it out, and you can reuse it. Or the joists, if you're using a deck area, for example, you put a foil over each joist because it stops the rot, and it will last forever because it's not getting wet and dry. So that when you've designed a building, you make a major alteration to it, you can reuse every component. That's about touching the earth lightly, because you touch it maybe once, and that's it. And every other time is only human labour, which after all is a renewable resource, if you understand. So we have to deal with all the buildings that are already here, rather than immediately going to saying, let's demolish it and put a new building up. We're going to get a 20% return if we do that, whereas we repurpose it, we're only going to get 15%. Well, that's about touching the earth lightly as well. We've got to have clients who understand the importance of, and not only the importance of, but also the responsibility towards existing material use. So if it's a concrete building, how can we repurpose this building? For example, we're now going to be producing timber buildings that are multi-storey. They're happening in Sydney already, bolted together. Now, if we have fish plates and bolts, they can all be pulled apart. They can be demolished without the loss of anything. Everything can be pulled apart. That's touching the earth lightly. So there's the repurposing, or the reuse, or the respect for, and the responsibility towards the environment. For example, the house in Sydney was my own house that I referred to here, that I cleaned all the bricks myself with a bolster, with lime mortar. It just comes off like a flash, and all you do is crush it up, add some more mortar, lime to it, and you use the mortar again. So nothing's lost. All the bricks are reused, all the mortar's reused. Nothing's got to be dumped. That's going forward. I went forward from 1913 when they did it, and I showed how what they did going forward allowed me to do what I did. Whereas if you put cement into it, you can't reuse the bricks, you can't even demolish them easily, and they all get dumped. The best they can be done is crushed for road base.